There's one truth. Sometimes the person who hurts you the most is not your enemy, but the one you once trusted to never hurt you. Would you believe it? The deepest pain is not in the words they said. It is in the fact that you opened your heart deeply enough for those words to reach the weakest part of you. On the outside, everything may still look normal. You still go to work. You still eat. You still reply to messages. You still smile when you need to smile. But inside, something has shifted. You do not feel as light as before. You do not trust the same way anymore. You do not feel like yourself the way you used to. And the bitter part is this. The person who hurt you may still be living very peacefully. While you are stuck in that exact moment, the same sentence, the same look, the same feeling of being dismissed, betrayed, and hit in the most vulnerable place. If you have ever tried to act okay while being completely broken inside, comment 1. If you are realizing you have not truly stepped out of an old wound yet, comment 2. And here is what no one says to you directly. What is exhausting you is not only what happened, it is the way you carry it with you everywhere, every day. You carry it into your sleep, into your workplace, into ordinary conversations, into moments that should have felt the most peaceful. You think you are moving on, but in truth, a part of you is still trapped in that day. That is why some people only hurt you once, but the aftershock stays in you for a very long time. And what is the biggest tragedy? Most people were never taught how to deal with pain the right way. They only know how to fight back, or stay silent, or cut people off immediately, or keep forgiving while already shattered inside, or force themselves to look strong, when in reality, they're getting more tired every day. But that is not wisdom. That is just reaction, and the wrong reaction only drives the wound deeper. This video is here to help you see another way, not so you can pretend you are not hurting, not so you can swallow everything, but so you can take back control from the very thing that once knocked you down. The first thing truly self-aware people do when they are hurt is they do not run from the pain too quickly. Sounds backwards, right? Who wants to sit still with something that feels like it is suffocating them? Who wants to look directly at the feeling of betrayal, abandonment, or being disrespected? But this is the important part. What you do not dare to feel does not disappear. It only finds a different place to hide. It slips into the way you overreact to small things, into the way you distrust new people, into those nights when you think you are fine but still feel heaviness in your chest, into one careless sentence from someone else that suddenly makes you collapse as if the wound happened just yesterday. A cut that is never cleaned may look normal on the outside, but inside, it is infected. Pain works the same way. You may still go to work, still smile, still say, "I'm fine," but inside, everything is slowly rotting. Then one day it only takes something very small. A colder text, a disrespectful look, a careless comment, and you explode. People on the outside will not understand. They will say you are overreacting, but they do not know that what is erupting is not only the present moment, it is everything you never allowed yourself to truly feel, piling up all at once. Smart people do not pretend they are not hurting. They allow themselves to hurt consciously. They sit with it. They name the feeling correctly. I feel betrayed. I feel unimportant. I feel left behind. I am angry. I am sad. I am disappointed. Only when you name it correctly do you stop being controlled by it in the dark. If you have ever tried to forget quickly, but the more you tried, the more it hurt, comment 1. Because sometimes what you need is not to forget. It is to feel it fully. But that is only the first layer. The second layer is where most people keep making everything worse. They think that if they explain themselves clearly enough, calmly enough, gently enough, the other person will understand. And once they understand, they will change. No. You cannot talk someone into treating you better if deep down they never truly valued you. You can choose every word carefully. You can speak in the softest tone. You can give them a second chance, a third chance, a fourth chance. You can explain everything as clearly as daylight. But if after all that, the way they treat you still does not change, then they have only learned one thing. They have learned that they can still hurt you and lose nothing. They still get your presence, still get your time, still get your kindness, still get the version of you that always leaves the door open, while they never have to pay any price for their behavior. And that is when pain turns into disrespect. That is why boundaries matter more than explanations. You do not need to send a long message. You do not need to make a scene. You do not need to post vague statuses online. You only need to change the way they are allowed to access you. Be less available. Be less instantly present. Be less endlessly understanding. Sacrifice less. Give less when you are receiving almost nothing back, not to punish them, but to teach people that you are no longer a place they can walk into, break everything, and leave as if nothing happened. And this is where two kinds of people reveal themselves. The first type will feel the change. They begin to pay more attention. They ask what happened. They become more serious. They try harder because they are truly afraid of losing you. The second type becomes irritated. They say you have changed. They say you have become cold. They make you feel guilty just because you are finally protecting yourself. Hear this clearly. That person does not miss you. They miss their easy access to you. If you have ever clearly told someone where they hurt you and they still repeated the exact same thing, comment too. Because maybe what you are missing is not a better explanation. Maybe it is a clearer boundary. But it does not end there. There is a deeper level that makes some wounds stay with you for a very long time. Not because their words were especially sharp, but because they touched a crack that already existed inside you. That is why there are some things people say that you hear and forget. But there are other things that follow you until 2 a.m., repeating in your mind, biting at your thoughts, refusing to leave. Why that sentence? Why that person? Why does it hurt for so long? Because somewhere inside, you are afraid they were right. Maybe they made you feel like you were not good enough. And deep down, part of you had already questioned that. Maybe they made you feel unlovable. And on some very late nights, you had already asked yourself whether something was wrong with you. Maybe they made you believe no one truly stays. And in your loneliest moments, that had already started to feel true. They did not create that fear. They simply opened the right door to it. And here is the important shift in perspective. You do not heal by obsessing over the person who hurt you. You heal by rebuilding the part of yourself that has depended for too long on other people's approval. That is the real root. Not reading a few quotes, not just telling yourself, I'm okay. Not posting something powerful and hoping your heart feels better, but doing real things. The kind of things that slowly make you respect yourself again. Finish something you have delayed for too long. Learn a new skill. Keep your word to yourself. Exercise. Take your work more seriously. Take better care of your life. Create something meaningful. Help someone. Live a little more disciplined every day. Every time you do something that makes you feel even a little proud of yourself, you are building something very strong. Self-respect. And self-respect built through action will last longer than any compliment. When you become fuller inside, the words of the person who hurt you become smaller, not because you forgot, but because you have become bigger than their shadow. But this is the part many people do not want to hear. Some people are able to hurt you that deeply because they got too far in too quickly. You gave trust too fast. You gave sincerity too fast. You gave access to the softest parts of yourself to someone who had never proven they deserved it. That does not mean you are foolish. It means you are genuine. You love genuinely. You give genuinely. And that is beautiful. But something beautiful does not mean it should be open to everyone. Think of your life like a house. There is a front porch, a living room, a kitchen, and then the most private room of all. Not everyone who walks through your life should be allowed into that final room, but many people do exactly that. After only a few conversations, they reveal their deepest pain. After being listened to a few times, they hand over all their trust. After receiving a little kindness, they assume the person is safe. Then later they wonder why they are always the one left most deeply hurt. Emotionally mature people do not close their hearts. They simply learn to lock the door. They observe. They watch people over enough time. They do not only watch them when things are easy, They watch them when things are hard, when you have emotions, when there is conflict, when there are boundaries, when things start becoming inconvenient. Because real character does not show itself on easy days. It shows itself when responsibility becomes necessary. Ask yourself this question about every person in your life. After being around this person, do I feel fuller or emptier? That question is simple, but it exposes a lot of truth. Anyone who makes you feel smaller, more tired, more confused, or less valuable should not be allowed deeper access anymore. The people who make you feel safe, clear, and respected, they are the ones who deserve the inner rooms of your life. If you are starting to realize that not everyone deserves your sincerity, comment 1. If you feel like you need to relearn how to open your heart more slowly, comment 2. And then comes the final step. The step most people resist the most: forgiveness. Just hearing that word already makes many people uncomfortable. Why should I forgive someone who hurt me? Why should I let go when they were the one who was wrong? Because forgiveness is not actually a gift you give them. It is how you stop handing your present over to your past. Forgiveness does not mean what they did was okay. It does not mean you forget. It does not mean you let them come back. It does not mean you have to keep in contact. You can absolutely forgive someone and still never allow them back into your life. Forgiveness only means one thing. You stop allowing what they did to keep controlling your life today. Every time you remember and your chest tightens, they still have power. Every time an old memory ruins what could have been a peaceful day, they still have power. Every time you walk into a new relationship, still carrying the full weight of your old fear, they still have power. Forgiveness is when you say, "That happened. It hurt me, but I will not keep sacrificing my present to it." You do not have to do it perfectly in one day. Some days feel lighter. Some days the anger comes back. That is normal. Forgiveness is not an on-off switch. It is a choice you make once, then again, until one day you remember it and no longer feel crushed. You just see clearly that you made it through something you once thought would hold you forever, and you are still standing here. That is freedom. Someone hurt you deeply. That is real. But you were not born to live forever inside the worst moment they created. Feel what needs to be felt, set boundaries, rebuild your self-respect, choose carefully who gets deep access to you, and forgive so you can have yourself back. If this video touched exactly what you have been carrying in silence, like and subscribe, and stay for the next video. Because there is one more very important truth. Sometimes the reason you keep repeating the same cycle with the same kind of people who hurt you is not bad luck. It is a door inside you that you still have not learned how to close in time.